Now, you don't need me to tell you that it's been a somewhat underwhelming year for Hollywood movies. But screw it, I'm gonna do it anyway. So indulge me for a moment while I get this off my chest. Dear Hollywood, you. In fact, you with a f***ing anchor, including the chain, you bunch of talentless, brain-dead, cowardly. In any sane world, you wouldn't even be in charge of a f***ing toll booth, never mind a multi-billion-dollar industry that reshapes the face of Western culture. F*** your remakes and f*** your superhero movies and f*** your modern audience. In fact, if I had my way, I would shove a f***ing mobile phone right up every single one of your big f***ing hairy sideways, mind you, and keep calling it all day long until you all get f***ing rectal cancer. Kind regards, the critical drinker. Right, now that's out of the way, it's time to cast our eyes forward to the far-flung future of March 2026 when Project Hail Mary is going to get released. Now, if there's any movie that can stir something vaguely resembling excitement in the cold ashes of my black heart, it's probably this. Yeah, maybe that's because I'm a big fan of the book, which was written by the same author as The Martian, and that got adapted into probably the last good film we'll ever see from Ridley Scott. Or maybe it's because I'm an optimist at heart and I desperately want to see something succeed that isn't a remake, a brain-dead franchise sequel, or yet another tedious cape shit disaster. Or maybe it's because they just released a new trailer for it, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty fucking good.
No way! Yes way!
So rather than make another video bemoaning the state of modern cinema, I thought it might be a refreshing change to look at something I'm actually optimistic about and explain why I want it to do well. Now, for anyone who's not familiar with the source material, allow me to furnish you with some background. The story's set in the near future where scientists discover that our sun seems to be getting mysteriously dimmer, almost like it's running out of energy, which is a bit concerning really because it's not supposed to happen for a few billion years yet. The world's best minds get to work on the problem and eventually discover that it's been infested by a microscopic organism known as astrophage that migrates from star to star and literally feeds on solar energy. And because they can store enormous amounts of it inside their own bodies, they can move almost at the speed of light, which allows them to infest all the stars in our neighbourhoods. Naturally, this is bad news for planet Earth because eventually the astrophage will consume all of the sun's fuel and the human race will die out. Something has to be done, and fast. That's when one particular star gets discovered that doesn't seem to have been affected like its neighbours. Clearly there's something about it that the astrophage don't like, so we need to find out what it is. Thus, a plan is formed. Use the astrophage as a fuel source to propel a ship at close to light speed to this nearby star, find out what the hell seems to be keeping them away from it, and bring it back to Earth before the sun goes out and everyone dies. No pressure then. And because it's kind of a long shot with slim chances of success, it soon gets dubbed Project Hail Mary. A team is assembled to head up the mission, including Dr. Ryland Grace, the molecular biologist who first figured out how the astrophage works. I mean, he's not exactly thrilled to be on the mission, but when the fate of your entire planet's at stake, you probably have to say yes. But when he wakes up from cryosleep at the destination, he discovers that the rest of the crew are dead and he's got no memory of who he is or why he's there. Well, that's not a great start, is it? Shit gets even more real when the Hail Mary encounters an alien spacecraft that turns out to be on the same mission as his. Turns out the Earth isn't the only planet looking for a solution to the astrophage problem. But are they going to attack him, or can he somehow learn to communicate with the ship's only crew member and work together to help save both of their planets? It's a neat little premise that plays around with the insane physics behind near light speed travel that introduces a bunch of fascinating sci-fi concepts in a way that even a layman can understand, and gives us an alien species that feels genuinely alien for once, instead of just a slightly ugly humanoid in a rubber suit. And yeah, I'm looking at you, Predator Badlands. But at its core, Project Hail Mary is really a story about friendship and loyalty in the most unusual circumstances. Two wildly different individuals learning to work together to overcome their differences because the fate of both their worlds depends on them and there's literally no one else. And ultimately, what they're willing to risk to help each other out when everything starts to go wrong and it seems like there's no hope left. I say all of this because I want you to understand what makes the book so compelling, so you can also understand what I'm hoping to see translated into the movie. And in terms of the visuals and the production design, they seem to have nailed the look of the novel perfectly. Just like The Martian, the technology and design of the Hail Mary looks grounded and believable, like it was cobbled together in a rush from existing spacecraft parts. Which it was. The alien ship looks exactly like I pictured it, and so does Rocky, its pilot. It's kind of a long story, but his species evolved in an extremely harsh environment, so he basically resembles a giant crab made out of rock. He doesn't have a face like we'd understand it, or even a head for that matter, so the big challenge they're gonna have with this one is making him emote enough that the audience can empathise with him. Ryan Gosling was a solid choice for Ryland. He's already proven he can balance humour with drama and believably play everyman type characters with a bit of likability, so that's no big issue. My only slight concern though is the choice of director. Or directors in this case. Phil Lord and Chris Miller obviously have a natural instinct for comedy, and when they're at their best, they can produce great stuff, but they haven't successfully directed a movie together since 2014, and that movie was 22 Jump Street.
My name is Jeff.
Project Hail Mary as a book definitely has plenty of levity in it, and Ryland himself does a bit of wisecracking to break the tension at times, but it's definitely not a comedy. The end of the world and the urgency of his mission is treated with all the dramatic weight it deserves. The first contact with an alien species is smartly handled and actually uses real scientific methods to establish a common language, and the various challenges and disasters that threaten to derail their missions are very much presented as real dangers that are supposed to have the reader on edge. All of this is to say that if they can keep the tone mostly grounded in the reality of what's going on, with a bit of levity thrown in at just the right times to break the tension, then I'm gonna be a happy man. If on the other hand they try to turn it into the Lego movie in space, well, then I'm gonna have to stop being so polite. Ultimately though, what I've seen so far makes me cautiously optimistic for Project Hail Mary. I think and hope it's gonna be good, and I really want to see inventive, thought-provoking sci-fi movies make a comeback, because Jesus Christ, Hollywood needs to start taking on more original projects like this, instead of churning out endless sequels to tired old franchises and beating the dead horse of the superhero genre. Something has got to give. This film might just turn out to be Hollywood's own personal Hail Mary too, and for once, I hope it works out for them. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Go away now.